Africa, the second largest continent, is bounded by the Mediterranean Sea, the Red Sea, the Indian Ocean, and the Atlantic Ocean. It is divided in half almost equally by the equator. The continent includes the islands of Cape Verde, Madagascar, Mauritius, Seychelles, and Comoros. Africa's physical geography, environment and resources, and human geography can be considered separately. The origin of the name Africa is greatly disputed by scholars. Most believe it stems from words used by the Phoenicians, Greeks, and Romans. Important words include the Egyptian word Afruika, meaning motherland, the Greek word Africae, meaning without cold, and the Latin word Aprica, meaning sunny. Today, Africa is home to more countries than any other continent in the world. These countries are Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Libya, Egypt, Sudan, South Sudan, Chad, Niger, Mali, Mauritania, Senegal, the Gambia, Guinea-Bissau, Guinea, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Côte d'Ivoire, Ghana, Burkina Faso, Togo, Benin, Nigeria, Cameroon, Central African Republic, Equatorial Guinea, Gabon, Congo, Democratic Republic of the Congo, Angola, Namibia, Botswana, South Africa, Lesotho, Eswatini, Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Malawi, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, Uganda, Kenya, Somalia, Ethiopia, Djibouti, Eritrea, and the island countries of Cape Verde, Madagascar, Mauritius, Seychelles, and Comoros. Here are some facts you didn't know about Africa. Part 1. 1. The human race is of African origin. The oldest known skeletal remains of anatomically modern humans, or Homo sapiens, were excavated at sites in East Africa. Human remains were discovered at Omo in Ethiopia that were dated at 195,000 years old, the oldest known in the world. 2 skeletons of pre-humans have been found in Africa that date back between 4 and 5 million years. The oldest known ancestral type of humanity is thought to have been the Australopithecus ramidus, who lived at least 4.4 million years ago. 3 Africans were the first to organize fishing expeditions 90,000 years ago. At Katanda, a region in northeastern Zaire, now Congo, was recovered a finely wrought series of harpoon points, all elaborately polished and barbed. Also uncovered was a tool, equally well crafted, believed to be a dagger. The discovery suggested the existence of an early aquatic or fishing-based culture. 4 Africans were the first to engage in mining 43,000 years ago. In 1964, a hematite mine was found in Swaziland at Bomvu Ridge in the Ngwenya mountain range. Ultimately, 300,000 artifacts were recovered, including thousands of stone-made mining tools. Adrian Boscher, one of the archaeologists on the site, dated the mine to a staggering 43,200 years old. 5 Africans cultivated crops 12,000 years ago, the first known advances in agriculture. Professor Fred Wendorf discovered that people in Egypt's western desert cultivated crops of barley, capers, chickpeas, dates, legumes, lentils, and wheat. Their ancient tools were also recovered. There were grindstones, milling stones, cutting blades, hide scrapers, engraving burins, and mortars and pestles. 6 Africans mummified their dead 9,000 years ago. A mummified infant was found under the Uan Muhugiag rock shelter in southwestern Libya. The infant was buried in the fetal position and was mummified using a very sophisticated technique that must have taken hundreds of years to evolve. This technique predates the earliest mummies known in ancient Egypt by at least 1,000 years. Carbon dating is controversial, but the mummy may date from 7,438 plus or minus 220 BC. 7 Africans carved the world's first colossal sculpture 7,000 or more years ago. The Great Sphinx of Giza was fashioned with the head of a man combined with the body of a lion. A key and important question raised by this monument was, how old is it? In October 1991, Professor Robert Schoch, a geologist from Boston University, demonstrated that the Sphinx was sculpted between 5000 BC and 7000 BC, dates that he considered conservative. 8. On the 1st of March 1979, the New York Times carried an article on its front page, also on page 16, that was entitled "Nubian Monarchy, called Oldest. In this article, we were assured that evidence of the oldest recognizable monarchy in human history, preceding the rise of the earliest Egyptian kings by several generations, has been discovered in artifacts from ancient Nubia, that is, the territory of the northern Sudan, and the southern portion of modern Egypt. 9. The ancient Egyptians had the same type of tropically adapted skeletal proportions as modern black Africans. A 2003 paper appeared in the American Journal of Physical Anthropology by Dr. Sonia Zakarzewski entitled Variation in Ancient Egyptian Stature and Body Proportions, where she states that the raw values in Table 6 suggest that Egyptians had the super-negroid body plan described by Robbins in 1983. The values for the brachial and crural indices show that the distal segments of each limb are longer relative to the proximal segments than in many African populations. 10. The ancient Egyptians had afro combs. One writer tells us that the Egyptians manufactured a very striking range of combs in ivory. The shape of these is distinctly African and is like the combs used even today by Africans and those of African descent. 11. The funerary complex in the ancient Egyptian city of Saqqara is the oldest building that tourists regularly visit today. An outer wall, now mostly in ruins, surrounded the whole structure. Through the entrance are a series of columns, the first stone-built columns known to historians. The North House also has ornamental columns built into the walls that have papyrus-like capitals. Also inside the complex is the ceremonial court, made of limestone blocks that have been quarried and then shaped. In the center of the complex is the Step Pyramid, the first of 90 Egyptian pyramids. 12. The first Great Pyramid of Giza, the most extraordinary building in history, was a staggering 481 feet tall, the equivalent of a 40-story building. It was made of 2.3 million blocks of limestone and granite, some weighing 100 tons. 13. The ancient Egyptian city of Kahun was the world's first planned city. Rectangular and walled, the city was divided into two parts. One part housed the wealthier inhabitants, the scribes, officials, and foremen. The other part housed the ordinary people. The streets of the western section in particular were straight, laid out on a grid, and crossed each other at right angles. A stone gutter, over half a meter wide, ran down the center of every street. 14 Egyptian mansions were discovered in Kahun, each boasting 70 rooms, divided into 4 sections or quarters. There was a master's quarter, quarters for women and servants, quarters for offices, and finally, quarters for granaries, each facing a central courtyard. The master's quarters had an open court with a stone water tank for bathing. Surrounding this was a colonnade. 15. The Labyrinth in the Egyptian city of Hawara, with its massive layout, multiple courtyards, chambers, and halls, was the very largest building in antiquity. Boasting 3,000 rooms, 1,500 of them were above ground, and the other 1,500 were underground. 16 toilets and sewerage systems existed in ancient Egypt. One of the pharaohs built a city now known as Amarna. An American urban planner noted that great importance was attached to cleanliness in Amarna as in other Egyptian cities. Toilets and sewers were in use to dispose waste. Soap was made for washing the body. Perfumes and essences were popular against body odor. A solution of natron was used to keep insects from houses. Amarna may have been the first planned garden city. 17 Sudan has more pyramids than any other country on Earth, even more than Egypt. There are at least 223 pyramids in the Sudanese cities of Al-Kuru, Nuri, Gebel Barkal, and Maro. They are generally 20 to 30 meters high and steep-sided. 18. The Sudanese city of Maro is rich in surviving monuments. Becoming the capital of the Kushite Empire between 590 BC until AD 350, there are 84 pyramids in this city alone, many built with their own miniature temple. In addition, there are ruins of a bathhouse sharing affinities with those of the Romans. Its central feature is a large pool, approached by a flight of steps with water spouts decorated with lion heads. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one. Please like, share, and comment. And do not forget to subscribe to our channel so we keep you updated when we bring you more interesting stories.